Why am I recording this at 2 in the morning? Okay. Considering I've been heavily addicted to Dead by Daylight again, I might as well talk about the latest event to come around in the game. That being the yearly Blood Moon event for this game. I've sat on this for a few weeks. Well, not a few weeks, a few days actually. Sat on this for a few days. Waited for all the bigger fish in the pond to state their opinions, and to be honest, it isn't really that different in comparison. This event, especially when compared to some of the more fun ones like anniversary events, or even the previous Blood Moon event, fucking blows. It fucking blows in some aspects, but it's a good concept, if you want a summary. I'm not here to go over every intricate little problem that has been stated by the rest of the DBD community, but I can go over some things from myself, from personal experience. I'm more of a survivor player, I'll admit that. I find killer to be a stressful experience from time to time, but I'll still play the role every once in a while to see how things are going for the wider killer base. This whole mode is the equivalent of someone working at Burger King spitting in my onion rings. For once, I actually don't blame anyone for tunneling this mode. It's an efficient strategy, and with how fast the gens go in this mode, it's like a kid on Adderall. With 4 out of the 7 gens being blood generators, you don't even need to worry about bringing gen rushing perks or stuff like that. Just do one normal gen and the rest of the blood generators will fly. I'm not even being funny about it. It's just genuinely how the event goes. Killers can't use any gen regression or defense perks because for some reason, gen regression doesn't work. Which means you either need to run the top tier killers or get your shovel and start digging a very good tunnel to the closest survivor you can find. And you don't have much time before things that start getting done, and that eventual mounting pressure of securing hooks and kills becomes more and more apparent. The whole idea behind the blood pumps, blood cans, and blood generators was really cool on paper. In execution though, it didn't really translate well. In all intents and purposes, it feels more like a testing ground for secondary objectives that aren't just generators or totems. So hey, maybe it's just one of those things I've come to desensitize myself to. Another thing of note, why is it that survivors get less blood points than killers for actively interacting with the event? A killer hitting a survivor with a blood can awards the killer with 1,000 blood points. I think it's 2k now, but the survivors themselves only get pennies on the dime for actively filling and emptying the blood cans. The worst offender of this blood point deficit between roles is the payout when completing a generator. It only pays out the 5k or 2.5k for the person who's actively working on the generator. So the mode actively encourages getting the generators done as fast as possible while completely disregarding the fact that will only encourage more aggressive forms of play from killer players in general. Unless you're me, and then you just stick on some headphones, blast some music, and just start running around like a headless chicken. I mean, it works. Blood Moon has always been known as one of the 2 hardcore grinding events in Dead by Daylight, the other being the anniversary with the amount of cakes you can get from that. But Blood Moon this year has been a resounding mess from the first impressions. Behave themselves, have got time to fix it, but I wouldn't hold my breath for the sake of quality of life changes in this regard. I think of it as more of a testing ground and see where it goes from there, especially in terms of what could possibly be really big gameplay updates for Dead by Daylight in the future. I'm not going to dampen the mood and say you shouldn't play it, because the event is quite fun when you stop trying, and if you want to play the event, that's ultimately your choice. But the most egregious part about this mode is just the fact that so many of the perks designed around the objectives are completely unusable. Notable examples of this would be Deja Vu not revealing blood generators and only revealing the basic generators, Eyes of Belmont not revealing the killer's aura after a blood generator is completed, any notable gen defense perks such as Pop, Pain Res, Grim Embrace, Surge, Ruin, they're just non-functional on the blood generators, so you have to really laser focus in on what you're doing. Franklin's Demise not causing survivors to drop blood cans when hit, gen speed perks just not working in general. Yeah, I think you get the idea with this one. The point is, when half the perks ran by the community do not function as intended, you end up dealing with the problem of stifling build diversity and creativity. It ultimately boils down to running either chase builds, hex/boon builds, or something that devolves into extremely boring forms of play, like a slugging build. Another thing of note is most of the killer's powers just don't work as intended when it comes to interacting with the blood generators in general. An example of this would be Plague. Plague can't throw up on the blood generators, meaning the people that want to play Plague in Blood Moon, she's basically a neutered version of herself from the base game. It's not really fun. I can imagine it's not fun to play as, because I don't play Plague myself, but I can definitely understand where the Plague community would come from if playing her in this mode is just not fun. For a testing ground game mode with some decent blood points to boot, I can't really complain about it, especially as we inch closer towards the 500% extra blood point mark. Awarding a boatload of points makes progression and item collecting a breeze, and it makes it quite fun. It's a great incentive. Anyway, moving on to the elephant in the room would be the release of Karnaki, the Ghoul. Rize Kamoshiro, or however you want to refer to the ghoul as. I will refer to him as Kaneki. His inclusion of being the latest release alongside this event has culminated into a somewhat stale first few days, so much so that Made for This has come back with a vengeance. And oh boy, is Made for This angry. Kaneki's power has become a sort of hot button topic in the community recently. He gets the first hit off really easily, especially with some of the ridiculous auto aim that he has. Immediately putting someone into deep wound, after that he more or less is a quote unquote M1 killer, but considering the utility he has in Kagane Leap, I wouldn't go that far. Kaneki fundamentally breaks some of the loops in this game with how fast, empowered Kagane Leap vault speed really is. I think Scott Jund said it best. Kaneki breaks this game in half. Not as badly as the Nurse. Actually, nothing can really break the game as bad as Nurse, but you get the idea. But it is pretty bad. He's got the ability to disable some of the best anti-tunnel perks in the game. Off the record, hit immediately off hook with power. Dead hard, you're probably already in deep wound and have to work to get the mark off so you have a chance to use it. Decisive strike, any Kaneki player worth their salt will probably be slugging anyway. He felt madly oppressive during the release. Even though people are going to adapt and adjust to how he plays, it still feels like there is a baseline lack of interactability between him and survivors in general. Just thought I should add this little bit in here. I've been really enjoying Kaneki. Like, playing him has just been an absolute blast. Flying around the map at 5 million miles per hour and getting a whole bunch of free hits has been a great time, but it still doesn't take away the baseline that he is not very interactive as a killer. Playing as him is an absolute blast, and some of the stuff he gets away with is absolutely insane. But at the end of the day, for the general health of Dead by Daylight, I feel like we should be taking into account both sides. So I really wouldn't mind if Kaneki got nerfed a tiny bit, or even just like some of the more overtuned things got nerfed a little bit. And I'm Prestige 6 on him as I write this. It is just that unfun to play against. There's been some absolutely ridiculous hits you can get with his power. We'll see how he fits in with the rest of the killer cast as his novelty, and due to future balance patches that behavior probably should do, because some of the stuff he gets away with should not be happening. I wanted to add this here as it's been a really big proponent with some of the issues regarding the new event, but in general, if I was to give anything regarding a rating from 1 to 10, I'd give this event roughly a 6. It's a good idea, secondary objectives, spruce up Dead by Daylight in a way that is actually good for replayability, and I'd say it's overall a little bit more healthy for the game. It's just let down by its rather lackluster execution paired with the many strong perks being completely unusable for both sides of the community. Killers especially feel this more than survivors. There is a strain on both sides, but Killer definitely feels it more. The new event has its ups, it has its downs. It's not the worst thing that's ever been made, because it really isn't that bad. More so, I feel like there could be something added to this, if that be the case with perks not working or the game just breaking outright in some regards. I think it's a good testing base, and there is a lot of promise shown here. It's just dependent if behavior wants to capitalize on that promise and that potential that this new mode has shown. But like I said, up to them. But for now, I think I'll be done with my little bit of rambling about the Blood Moon mode. Usual links in the description. I'll be going back to stuff such as playing the OG Five Nights at Freddy's games and Limbus Company. I love you guys. Stay hydrated, stay safe, stretch your legs when you can, and be sure to get yourself something to eat. It's been Azura, and I'm signing out. Later.